All right, guys, good morning. We are going over proving lines parallel, or at least solving for x using parallel lines. So here's one example where angle 7 is 2x plus 30 and angle 4 equals 4x minus 10. And the question is asking for what is the measure of angle 2? Before we can solve, the first step, guys, the first step, I went ahead and wrote it over here. Are the angles congruent or supplementary? If they're congruent, then we could set it up angle congruent to an angle. If they're supplementary, we have to set it up angle plus angle equals 180. So when we look over here, we've got angle 7. Let me get this a little bigger. Okay, so we have angle 7, highlight it. All right, and then we have angle 4. Now you have to look at the different types of angles that we've talked about recently to figure out what kind of angles those are. So angle 7 and angle 4, what are those angles? Take a moment and figure that out. Well, if you remember my car method, does everybody remember my car method? 4 and 7 are both in the same seat, aren't they? So they are corresponding angles. Very good, corresponding. And we know that corresponding angles are congruent. Congruent. So we are going to use, oops, let's go to the highlighter. This one, it didn't go to the highlighter, guys. Oh no. Come on. There it goes. Okay, so we're going to use this one right here. Let me erase those lines. It's awful. Okay, so we're going to use this one. They're congruent. So I'm going to set angle 7 equal to angle 4. All right, so let me draw that out for you. If you want to try to get ahead, you could go ahead and pause the video and do it yourself. Angle 7 is equal to angle 4, right? So let's substitute what we know angle 7 equals. 2x plus 30 equals 4x minus 10. So here we have our equation. We need to solve for x, okay? I like to look for the bigger x, and right here I have 4x, which is bigger than 2x. So I'm going to try to leave my x on this right side. So by doing that, I got to get rid of this negative 10. So I'm going to add a positive 10. Negative 10 and positive 10 cancel out to become 0. Now what I do over here, remember I must always do over here. So I'm going to also add 10 over here. And that gives me 40. Okay? Now I want to mess with my x's, right? So I have a 2x and a 4x. Well, remember I want to leave my x's on this side. So I'm going to subtract 2x and subtract 2x. This cancels, becoming 0. And this one is going to be 4 minus 2 to give me 2x. Put my equal sign. So I have 2x equals 40. Now, what's my last step? Well, in order to get the 2 apart from the x, we can't subtract that. Subtract the whole thing. We're dividing, guys, dividing. That divides the 2 and the x apart. Now, I'm trying to get rid of the 2 and leave the x. So I'm going to divide the 2x by 2 because that's what I'm trying to get rid of. I know we say they cancel out. Technically, what does 2 over 2 equal? It equals 1. So it doesn't necessarily cancel, but it leaves us with a 1x. And we know that 1 is understood, so we can actually erase it and just leave us with x, because that means 1x. So that's how we get from here to here. That's the understanding and logic behind that. Now, what we do to one side, we must also do to the other. So I also have to divide the 40 by 2, which gives me 20. So a lot of you guys will be like, yay, I'm done. I solved for x. Woohoo. Please, 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 please. Did I say please? Please go back and read the question. What is the measure of angle 2? The measure of angle 2 is not x. So, what are we going to have to do? So we know what x is. But what are we going to have to do to solve for angle 2? Well, first, do we know what angle 4 and angle 7 equal? No, we don't know. Let's go ahead and plug the x back in to solve for the angle, because we can't figure out angle 2 if we don't know the measure of one of these angles. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it back into angle 4, this one right here, and I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to plug the x back in. I've already solved for x. Plug the x back in and get the measure of angle 4. All right, so that's what, 4x minus 10? Okay, so this is kind of our, really this is kind of the third step, right? First step was we figured out if it was going to be angle equals angle. The second step that we did was solving for x. Ooh. Solve for x. Okay, so that's kind of our second step. Third step is plugging the x back in. Into one of the angles. And we're going to go ahead and do angle 4. And angle 4 equaled 4x minus 10. Let me zoom in here so I don't have to write so big. 4x minus 10. So I'm going to plug the 20 back in. All you have to do is, instead of putting the x there, I'm going to put the 20 there, because that's what x equaled. Basic substitution, guys. So angle 4 equals 4x, minus 10. Plug the x in. So what operation is happening between this 4 and this 20? Are we going to add? Are we going to subtract? Are we going to multiply? What are we going to do? We are going to multiply. That's very good. Anything in parentheses right next to each other is a multiplication. 4 times the 20 gives us 80. And then we bring down the negative 10, minus 10. So 80 minus 10 gives us 70. So angle 4 is 70. Take a minute, write all that down. Make sure you're solving this stuff. Okay? I know it seems like it's really hard, but it's not. It's not really that difficult. If you have questions, please let us know. That gives you angle 4, okay? So angle 4, let's go back up. Let's go back up and look. So angle 4 is 70. So I solved for x, plugged it back in to figure out that angle 4 was 70. Well, if angle 4 is 70, what is angle 7? It's also going to be 70. And if you were to plug the 20 back into angle 7, you would have solved and got 70. Okay? Well, based on my corresponding angles and my vertical angles, what can I fill in the rest of these? I can. So the vertical angle to 4 is what? Remember, kissing angles. Ooh, their vertices are kissing. They're touching. So we have angle 2 and angle 5. Because angle 5 is a vertical angle to angle 7, and angle 2 is vertical to angle 4. So therefore, we know already that angle 2 is 70 and angle 5 is 70 as well. So do we have our answer yet? What is the measure of angle 2? Yes, we do. The measure of angle 2 is 70. That is our final answer. However, let's go ahead and extend this lesson just a little bit further. So if you know that angle 2 is 70, can you figure out what angle 1 is? Yes, you can. Angle 1 and angle 2 have a relationship. What's that relationship? They are, that's correct, linear. They are linear. So they equal 180. So I can take 180 minus 70 and get 110. 110 is going to be my angle 1 and my angle 3 and my angle 6 and my angle 8. Once you know corresponding angles and vertical angles, you can solve all of those. Okay? So whenever you see the algebra there, go ahead and solve for x, figure out what one of the angles is, and then you can figure out the rest. And you'll be able to answer what's the measure of any of these angles. You'll know. Okay? You will see that on the test coming up. So make sure that you go back into your notes, look at all these steps, and practice. If you're having struggles, let us know ASAP. All right, guys. See you later. And it won't pause. I can't stop the video. I'm done. I'm done. Still won't pause. Come on. Well, so I guess we need to learn more stuff, huh? How weird, because the video will not pause. Well, what do you do with that? Well, guys, I guess I can tell you a story. I don't have any good stories, though. Seriously. Help! What do I do? I guess it's still... We're just going to record forever, guys, I guess. Just forever.